afternoon. Good afternoon. Today is Friday, March 11th. We are for another episode of Week in Review. And I have with me Mr. Prince Conque. Prince, how are you today?
Yeah, serious. Thank you. I'm doing well.
No, our
Thank
former
God.
COS. This is a show.
You, yeah, sure. You're right. But however, there's a common saying that says, "Once a soldier is always a soldier."
I got that.
So sorry if because it's something that's already used to me. So it will
Yeah,
obviously take some time before I get used to just calling you Ava.
you're not alone. A lot of people still do that, but that's cool. That's cool. I'll take it. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
thank you. Yeah, it has been good. So far I've been okay. uh, Trying to reconcile my office work with other extra activities that I have to do up out there. As a matter of fact, you already know I'm the chairman of the intellectual class of Painesville. So
congratulations again. Congratulations on that.
yeah, so we've been running several programs in collaboration with NEMO Partners for Democratic Development. We on yesterday hosted a youth policy dialogue where experienced guys from different sectors were given opportunity to speak to schools of young people around the Painesville belt. So it's a good thing, and as a matter of fact, it's a joint collaboration between the intellectual class of Painesville and that of Veterans Bureau. Those of us who are in Liberia who follow the media, Veterans Bureau is from the Doe community in.
Right.
So the executive director for NEMO, Mr. Eddie Jawolo, one of the
But
lead
what
civil
is
society.
Nemo? What is Nemo? So some people understand.
Is from what I learned, he said it's the National Youth Movement for Transparent Election. It's NAYMOTE.
Right.
So it's NEMO Partners for Democratic Development.
Okay.
So NEMO sponsored this youth policy dialogue. So I was between office and that of the Painesville City yesterday. But so far, it has been a running week, and we look forward to having a very wonderful show today.
So, just for the benefit of some people, what is considered the intellectual class? What is that?
Well, the intellectual class is a pressure group. We love to call it a revolutionary advocacy movement, and they advocacy movement, and they
So we have a little connection issue here. Hopefully, it can be resolved. But unfortunately, so we have a little connection issue here. We hope Prince can come back. He was offering some very good things. But the network back?
network is a bit bad.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead. No, I can hear you.
Am I okay?
Very okay now.
All right.
Yes.
So as I was saying, the intellectual class of Painesville is a pressure advocacy movement made basically of young people from across the five political districts in Painesville, and we are all from different political parties.
So what are those five districts? What are those five districts?
We Painesville is made of District Two. District Two is being represented by Honorable Jimmy W. Smith. District Three, Honorable C.B. Bashir. District 4, Madam Rosalind Swakoko Dennis. District 5, Honorable Thomas P. Fala. And District 6, Reverend Samuel R. Enders.
So for
That's the five
people
districts
who
in
don't
Painesville.
know, they think Painesville is a small place.
Oh, yeah, Painesville, as a matter of fact, Painesville has approximately 700,000 inhabitants.
Easily, I would think so. Easily, looking at the register of
Mhm.
voters in the area and extrapolating to the rest of the population, I think that sounds reasonable. So
Yeah,
Painesville is
so
a very strong political force in Montserrado County.
yeah, and besides that, we all know that District 4, which is also in Painesville, has the highest number of registered voters,
Yes,
69,000 as per the records from the National Elections Commission.
Right.
So with District 4 having just that number, so when we say in terms of voting population, Painesville is obviously again the biggest city. So if a presidential candidate, wins Painesville overwhelmingly, you stand a better chance of winning the entire Montserrat County.
So the expectation is that Painesville will be a hotbed for the senatorial candidates and the presidential candidates will be coming to solicit votes.
Yeah, sure. In fact, I think that's why the intellectual class of Painesville now is the heartiest commodity in the city of Painesville, because we have a very huge following across Painesville, both from the intellectual class and down to the motorcyclists and those who follow the media. The intellectual class of Painesville has a very huge following. There are several things we have in mind leading to the election.
Okay.
We want to try as much as we can to bring all of the actors from the various districts in Painesville around the table, just so that they can speak to people and share their vision. And we also have plans to take other political leaders to Painesville, because, like I said, the institution is made of young people from different political backgrounds.
Right.
So I think the space will be given everybody so that they can sell their ideas to the Liberian people, particularly the people of Painesville.
Okay, that's wonderful. So we look forward to more things from the intellectual class in Painesville, and we just hope the youths are really concerned about what the future of the country will be, that they will be able to work with the minds of our people, because we know a lot of people sometimes lack the tools for them to make the right decision when it comes to who a which political candidate can really serve the purpose. So we hope that the intellectual class will enlighten the people and be able to help them, because our people are struggling.
This is something we are committed to, and we have been doing it. We have been providing the space, encouraging young people. And like I said yesterday, when we have the youth policy dialogue, we have speakers from the Liberian National Police, represented by Assistant Commissioner of Police for Community Policing, Mr. Samuel G. Ford. He also spoke at that event, talking about the role of the police and security as we move towards 2023.
Right.
We also have somebody from the media, Mr. Malcolm Joseph. He's a kind of experienced media guy. He also there talking about how young people can avoid the issue of spreading fake news, because we all know that the social media is widely used by young people. So he was also talking to young people that we should use our social media platforms to, if you have the SAR, yes, everybody will obviously have their SAR, but it's always good to provide information using your social media platform that are factual. So we also had the executive director from NEMOD, where he explained about the role of young people, and encourage young people that, as a matter of fact, as per one NEC has said to us with their records, young people constitute about 55% of the voting population. So with just that number, the young people can decide to make anybody leader. So we as young people should always use the number that we have to our advantage, so that we can elect good people to serve us and then move the country forward.
That's wonderful. But do you realize that a lot of the young people don't really vote? If you look at the election demographics and you look at like the average age is about 35. So that means, as young as our population is, and the significant numbers that come from 18 to 35, seems like that balance is not there. I mean, I wish I could actually access the NEC data to look at the delineation of age breakouts, but sometimes we don't have access to that information. But it's really important for us to work with the youths, and for me personally, it's just about them expressing their democratic franchise, not necessarily voting for my candidate of choice, because that's the only way I think they can become better citizens, when they understand what democracy is, they understand the responsibility of citizenship, they understand their right to participate in these things, and how much difference it makes in their own lives. Because Some people don't recognize it, but politics control everything. It controls the economy. It controls the social aspects of your life. It controls education. It controls healthcare. So until people can get the grasp of the significance of politics, will always be, second fiddle in terms of what the people receive from who represent them.
Yeah, you're right, 100%, and I must agree with you. Many a times when people see some of us actively involved into the political process, some people get angry. Oh, why you're a young person, you're a professional person, and you all just about politics. And just like you said, politics controls everything around us. If you go to school and you become a medical doctor, for example, the national legislature set the salary for medical doctors, and then those guys in the house, they are all politicians. So it's good, and I think when we as young people see it as a responsibility to get involved with the political process, it has a way of giving back to us, because what happens is that we as young people, whichever the decision is made at the ballot box, uh, is something that we must live with. For example, in 2017, we went to the ballot box and we voted George Weah. So we have to live with what we have for the next 6 years, and quite shortly we'll be going to election.
Well, the
So
next 2 years, I says that means you give it the man second term right away.
no,
Oh.
I mean from 2017, the
Right,
decision that was made is
right.
what we're living with now. So we'll have to be in it from 2017 to 2023 is 6 years. So whichever decision that is made again in 2023 is something that we'll obviously have to live with for the next 6 years. So
Yes.
the report I'm trying to make is that young people, we must get involved. We must be part of the discourse, because anything that happened, for example, Ava now is of age. All right, Ava is living in his future. All right, but Prince Ivan Gongwa still has some years ahead. So whichever decision being made at the national level, we all know that it's something that we should live with. So take for example my current age. If you add on another 6 years to 8, my age continues to go up. All right, so I think this is a kind of conversation that we must always have.
Right.
Encourage young people
And we'll
to.
have a separate forum. We'll keep trying to expand this so we can really get younger people on the channel and be able to discuss some of these issues. But it seemed like this week there was a lot of activities in the news, right? A lot of things happening.
Yeah, sure. There was just a lot. But on Monday, the most captivating story was the issue of the gasoline price in Liberia.
Right.
And I read in the newspaper today, and what I read was a very shocking discovery. Hot Pepper newspaper reported that one importer spoke to one of our reporters, saying that initially importers decided to set the price of gasoline at $4.85 and fuel oil at $5.10, with the expectation that when they present this price tag to government will appeal, saying that or probably they should bring it down further. But surprisingly to those of them who are importers, government decided to add 90 cents on both the price of gasoline and that of the price of fuel oil. So that's the reason why, and I can tell you for sure, like the paper reported today. Let me, because the story from Monday has a link with most of the story from today, and most of the newspaper were reporting that that President Weah has gambled his chance for a second term, because Liberians have a kind of mindset that they will normally keep grudge, and then pay back at the ballot box. It happened during the 2017 not 2017 but 2020 senatorial elections. We saw what happened when the government came to power 2019 and 2020. Government came to power, things begin to have civil servants not taking salary and all kind of lapses in government, and they were overlooking it. So the people who voted them, some of the people who voted them went to the ballot box and voted Senator Dillon. Similarly, it happened again in 2020. In fact, the margin even increased. So the price of gasoline has been a serious challenge to the point where transportation fare has increased drastically, counting from the motorcyclists to the taxi drivers. It's just so expensive now. If you have to move around, you don't have a vehicle, and even those who have vehicles, some of them are even parking vehicles. But on Monday, when the story came, the price of gasoline was actually at 1,500 before government announced that there's enough petroleum product in the market, and then they set up the price at $6. So gasoline in Liberian dollars is now sold at $875, while fuel oil is sold around $930. I can remember day before yesterday I bought fuel for $950. And then on the same Monday, we had another story trending.
Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Another story that was catching in the newspaper too was the issue of ArcelorMittal. And this story caught my attention because I have a bachelor's degree in geology. So any story that concerns the extractive industry is something that draws my attention.
Right.
So according to information, ArcelorMittal has defrauded government with over $3 million United States in taxes. And government is pushing, for that amount to be paid. And according to the story, they say it's a breach of the contract of the mineral development agreement between ArcelorMittal Liberia and the government. So on Tuesday, there was this story in one of the local dailies that say marriage collapse. Ability Liberty Party seeks other options. And for me personally, as a supporter of the Alternative National Congress, I still not understood clearly what's happening between Mr. Ability, the Liberty Party, and that of the Alternative National Congress. I learned about an MOU not being signed, and there were requests made and blah blah blah. But is it something that I'll look forward to you throwing more light on, because I think you well placed to do that. And
Used
then
to be.
Sorry.
Used to be, but go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then the lawyers representing Mr. Cummins and that of the party's chairman and that of the Secretary General, Councillor Abraham Sila, seek to discredit state witness. We all know that Theodore Momo, the chairman of the All Liberian Party, took the witness stand, and he said that there are three separate CPP framework documents in the public, and he gave the description of those three documents. And as we all know, the lawyer representing Mr. Cummins tried to discredit some of the things that he said. So on today, Friday, let me just jump to Friday because most of the news was almost repeating. So on Friday, basically we had Mr. Cummins did an interview on the International Women's Day, where
on Friday. It was on Thursday.
No, I'm saying today in the news.
Oh, okay.
He had the interview on Tuesday, right before the holiday. He had the interview on Tuesday, where he was interviewed at his office, and he called for the affirmative actions for women's protection, because it has been passed at the level of the lower house that women should be given 30% involvement in in the legislature, and also 30% involvement with the executive branch of government. So that was also in the news. And then, like I said, the issue of gasoline price is the trending news right now. Trending news right now. Mr. Cummings appeared in court today, and the lawyers agreed that he can travel from, the gist that I got from proceedings at the court today. But as I said, the most talked about news right now in Liberia is the issue of gasoline price. And let me just say something before you come in. The issue of gasoline price, I don't know. Sometimes I want to blame government action on the slow pace of the opposition right now. Because considering if we had the opposition firing, government dare not tamper with the price of gasoline. We all know that once the price of there's an increment in the price of gasoline, it has the proclivity to affect the prices of almost everything. Almost everything. All right, with the exception of transportation, it has the proclivity to affect the price of rice. It has. Imagine we buying gasoline in Monrovia for $875. Imagine what the people are paying for gasoline in Maryland.
So great points you're making. And we do know that the government issue a price circular, basically telling us what the price of gasoline should be, right? So
yeah.
I'm trying to share the screen. I don't know if we got it yet. Can you see the
No, I'm not seeing it. The screen is just dark.
The screen is just dark. Okay, let me try that again to share the screen. Because the government had put out a release that detail what the price should be.
Yeah.
And it's on the screen now. Can you see it?
No, not yet. Okay, yeah.
So the Ministry of Commerce basically supposedly consults with LPRC and other stakeholders, and they set the price. So they increased the price by $1.16. I mean, people may not understand it, but that's dramatic. That is a dramatic increase for gas, and then for fuel, it went about $1.47. So the selling price at the pump, as they say, was now $5.66, and like you said, LD $875 for the regular person, $6 for fuel, LD $9.30. So the argument was everybody else in the region, prices are increasing. That's a flawed argument. That does not justify what you are doing. What you are doing should be based on the numbers and based on the economy. So we just took a little look at the situation in Sierra Leone. In Sierra Leone, they put their circular out as well. So Sierra Leone tends to subsidize the fuel for the people. If you look at this release right here, this is the release from Sierra Leone. Let me know when it comes on your screen.
Yeah, it's not there yet. Okay, it's here.
All right. So they give a better background. Everybody understands the economy is tough. So Platts that provide the price references in the oil sector, it definitely increased the barrels, the prices, the reference prices were increased. So the demand is actually in excess of supply. And in general, when that happens, and that kind of started from December, even though they say January, but from December, that uptick was there in terms of, oil prices and stuff like that. But for our specific situation, these increases, you see what Sierra Leone did? They increased their pump prices from 10,000 leons to 12,000 leons. So the leon are real people money. So 10,000 leons, that about 86 cents. Okay. So even though they took it to 12,000, the market price is actually 13,000. So let's do a little analysis here, brief analysis, so people can understand, where this is going and what some people are claiming about what the government is doing with this pricing thing.
The audio is not too good. The quality of the audio is not too good.
Yeah, we gotta work on that. For some reason, I hear it grinding. I'm not sure why it's grinding. But can you at least hear me? Prince, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, but like I said, the quality of the audio is not too good.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my speaker. Is it any better? And Prince, is it any better?
Yeah, it's much better now.
Okay, so like I said before, the price in Sierra Leone is per liter, and 3.785 liters make 1 gallon. You can see the screen, right?
Yeah, I'm seeing it clear indeed.
Okay.
The price per liter is 3.785.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Sierra Leone government said 12,000 leons for 1 liter. So that $1.04 for a liter of gas in Sierra Leone. When you multiply that by the 3.785 liters, you get $3.94 for 1 gallon of gas, which is
$3.94.
yes, which is LD 591.
Okay.
So, but they're selling below the market price. If you even use the market price, which is 13,000 leons per liter, that's $1.22 per liter. That means the price of gas now would be $4.24. So that should be the actual market price in Sierra Leone, $4.24, which is LD $657, right? But in Liberia, we are selling at $5.66. That's $1.42 more than in Sierra Leone. And when you go to fuel, it's $6 on our end, $4.24. So that $1.76 difference. So I don't know what government is claiming, which is, to me, is very harmful to our people. And when you compound the gas and fuel situation with the electricity problem, that's a double killing for businesses and for people. So it's really, really sort of an inflationary tool, because government basically saying all prices must go up. The government whole revenue agenda was already based on exploiting people. I mean, exploiting the people and overtaxing them, because that's the only way they can get to that revenue amount that they're targeting. That's $780 million revenue point. It's all based on increased taxes. And so the assumption from some people that we as leadership could be affected, it makes sense. And you're right, the opposition should jump on it and actually speak on it, really speak to the issues, and really get, for somebody who's one of the distributors or one of the key oil persons, to talk about government adding 90 cents arbitrarily to exploit and export. I mean, basically gouge the eyes of the typical Liberian, because it's not only people who actually purchase gas that are affected, because people who purchase gas and fuel, they provide services to other people. If that part of the overhead increases, they got to pass the cost down to other people. whether that water, cold water, whether that ice, whether that ice cream, whether that drinks, in the shop or anything that's cold, the price will pass down. The same way, the pimping boys, even one of my picking asked me if he wanted to go to Broadway. The price to go to Broadway increased. And I'm sure the price around town for transportation has increased as well. So it's
True.
a tough thing if government cannot protect its citizens, and this whole pricing thing, this whole electricity thing, this whole gas and fuel situation could be hazardous for this government if they don't handle it right. If people can prove that kind of corruption without 90 cents coming up, people can stand by that statement and really show what this government is doing. It could be to their disadvantage. But it's tough. The Liberian people are paying, like you say, $900 for fuel and 875 for gas. That's extremely high with that 566 and $6. So we just hope that government can really look at this situation and see how they can work with our people to be able to lessen the burden that people are facing. Um so the other big thing you mentioned, or if you got another comment on the gas.
Yeah, just to comment further, to take it from where you stop. Uh, for me, I just don't think that government has any plan to look at the price of gasoline because, like we've been following in the news, the government announced that the country has petroleum products that can carry us for the next 7 to 8 months, and after which time, uh, before government can have importers bringing goods in. So considering that between now and August or maybe September, if gasoline and fuel oil prices remain the way they are, it will not get any better because after the consignment that we have in country now is exhausted, importers now will have to go out and then see how best they can fetch for products to bring it into the country. Considering that there's a ongoing crisis, Ava, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you clearly. Consider that all
Okay,
going
yeah.
prices.
Considering that there's an ongoing crisis in Russia and there's a sanction on Russia right now, uh, even when President Joe Biden announced sanction on Russia, he also announced that the decision by the US and other powerful nations to sanction Russia will have a negative trickle down effect on the rest of the world. In the sense that Russia produces about 10% of crude oil around the world, both gasoline, fuel oil, and you just name the rest. So obviously there will be a little hit on the market, considering that Russia is a major producer of petroleum products. So considering that, uh, after August, if importers will have to go out there to purchase petroleum products to bring it in country, they will not get it at the price they got the consignment that they have in country now. They will not get it at that price. So definitely, if they get it for a much higher price outside there, bringing it back, all right, we should expect between August of this year and December, we should expect that we will buy gasoline for maybe $1,000, and we will buy fuel oil for more than $1,000. But the point I'm trying to make here is, if government is making terrible decisions, the reason there is an existence of opposition in every country is to show that government is pushed and pushed very hard. I remember a few months back when we had this United CPP, when Mr. Cummings was then chairman, the opposition was always having press conferences and giving position statements. And government was under immense pressure. You could see the finance minister and all the other guys, especially when we have people working and for over 3-4 months, you work and you can't get paid. All right, the pressure from citizens push government onto the finance ministry and other relevant government ministry and agency started putting a housing order. That was how they started paying people and started being up to date. So my argument here is we will not if we just sit and say, okay, we're waiting for government to make the decision to bring the price of gas and fuel down, we'll be waiting in vain. It is the opposition who's supposed to keep trumpeting these arguments so that they in fact, that there's something in politics, even though it's advisable not to carry fake news, but in politics, once you see that your opponent is slipping, you must capitalize on your opponent's slip. And with the gasoline situation, I can tell you that it's a big slip on the part of government. And this is the time that the opposition, whether be it Mr. Cummings, Mr. Boaka, whoever in the opposition, supposed to make maximum use of this kind of opportunity to see how best you can sell yourself and even make government to look mobile. That's the game of politics. You must capitalize on all of the slips from your opposition, from your opponent. And I think that's what the opposition needs to do.
And that's a fact. And the whole economics of this thing is something that people can use excuses for. But if you drill down into the issue, you can see the separation between the actual economic impact versus the additional stuff that government is pushing for private individual interests. And things will get harder. Like Ukraine and Russia, both of them export wheat. The price of bread, people better start liking cassava bread and Edo bread, because the price of regular bread, flour, all those things will go up. So our people have to be very conscious of what they expect to happen in this thing. And you're right, the opposition role is critical. It's not just to say we're against government. It's to also clarify for the people what's happening, put pressure on the government, and then be able to offer solutions. Additionally, somebody said the sound is really terrible.
There's always a disruption in the audio, the quality of the audio.
All right.
Yeah, but I think it's better now. Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
All right, yeah. Then I think it's from your end.
Let me see if I can do this. Come in from.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm trying to see if I can come in from my phone. And then okay, let me mute this. Is it better?
Yeah, better.
Okay, so let me remove this from the stream. Is it better now?
Yeah, go ahead. As we go along, if there's a disruption, I'll let you know.
Okay, so I still hear static. I really don't know. Well, we can help.
The audio is still not clear.
Oh, okay. So let me. We'll just go with this, and hopefully we can work on the problem later. But you can hear me now, right?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Even though it seems that you're on mute.
You can hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So yeah, as I was saying, the government is doing wrong. The opposition has a major responsibility. But the regular citizens, they themselves have that right to advocate, to ask what the government is doing, to organize, to protest, to demonstrate. The regular citizens have that right to do that. if they can't seek their own interest as well, if they can't understand the economic and financial violence that is being played on them, just by the way they live their daily lives, how hard and difficult it is, and won't change, then who do you blame?
No, but
Yes, the individual's responsibility.
yeah, let me just come in a little bit, and I want to disagree with you a little bit. You know, when it comes, especially the kind of society we have, all right, right now, citizens are only sitting like it happened during the long election. Citizens are probably only sitting and say, okay, we'll go through it and wait for election day.
That makes no
All right,
sense. That makes no sense.
yeah, but mind you, there are especially those who want power now. What becomes of those who want power? This is in fact they should be championing the advocacy right now. In a democracy like ours, the truth is the opposition will normally be the voice of the people. Take for example, when you have CDC in opposition, you think this kind of thing when it was on Manaseli, you think given that kind of situation that the CDC in opposition will capitalize on? Of course. So the people who want power now, they should be the one in the forefront in showing that these things are brought forth to the government and remind the government that we have in the election right next door. You can use that to even create the situation that the public will have more belief in you. But if you just sit down and you think the citizens will, we have a very illiterate society. Not many people understand that role as a citizen. Take for example, few days ago, the lower house amended section 7.3 of the election law. Initially, it was in the newspapers that they changed from when you want to register to contest for the post of representative. They said from 500 to 5,000. My institution, the Intellectual Class of Pingsville, we staged a press conference, and then little by little we realized that there was a misinformation or disinformation from the press. Actually, it was increased from 500 to that of 1,000. Now, in every literate society, you can't just sit down as because you're a legislator or you controlling the first branch of government. You just increase a tariff on the electoral processes with 100%. Increment cannot be done in such manner. You can increase by 100% because changing from 500 to 1,000 is an increment of 100%. So why is it that we can start it bit by bit? Why we can say, okay, let's have an increment of 25%, or let's have an increment of 50%. But you leave from 500, you jump straight to 1,000. Then in the worst case, we heard that it was from 500 to 5,000. For that, for us, we are going to lead a mass citizen action to the Capitol building, to the House of Senate, to ask them not to agree with the lower house on that bill that was sent from the
initially those were the proposed high numbers, and then based on negotiation and based on the reaction and response, it was dropped. But again, you're right. But what I'm seeing, where are the advocacy groups? Where are they in terms of making opposition? I understand the opposition should be the lead people in this, but they are not. They need to step up the game in terms of advocacy. But there's also yeah, you see that what Mr. Cassidy said? Poverty is the parent of revolution and crime. And that's a fact. Look at the crime rate today and look at the dissension that is rising gradually, is boiling. But where I don't agree with you, yes, the huge responsibility is on the opposition and the knowledgeable people, but our people also feel the pangs of poverty. They feel the pangs of daily living, how hard and difficult it is. They have to be able to express themselves. And what better medium do they have to express themselves than the payment board saying, no, the gas price too high. Then the people saying, no, this transportation price too high, and make a statement. So it's incumbent on all of us to try to move this country to where we want to move this country. It's not just for one group of people. No, it's not. So we got to beat that horse. Suppose you can't beat the dead horse, but that horse ain't die yet. We got to keep beating this government on this transportation issue, on this fuel and gas issue, on the electricity issue, on the living conditions of our people. If we don't, um, if you somebody making me laugh here. If you don't, the government will have a free ride. The person say Madam Sally had no opposition. I guess Madam Sally paid some of the opposition some of the time I called, but yes, there was strong opposition of Madam Sally. Madam Sally turned some of us with labor in charge of treason, simply for trying to organize and excite the minds of the people, not excite the mind of the people about the issues that they need to stand for. And that's what we are doing now. People have to wake up, people have to understand the issues, and people have to try to fight the situation that it has to be better. No, power does not concede. The people in power, they don't care. They don't give a damn for who's out there. They will continue to do what they're doing until people move from point A to point B in the advocacy and advance their courses. If they don't do that, how somebody will know you got a problem? Do you think everything all right?
Oh yeah,
right
sure.
now, right now, no government official lives in a neighborhood that exclusively, rich, elite. No, they live right with the poor people. They drive out every day with the poor people. They see the people, but they act like they don't see them. So if the people cannot respond to that level of impunity, that level of ignoring their plight, then how much can you do as an individual? Some of us have been talking about this for the longest time, wanting some level of equality and equity in our country. But many people do not care to push that agenda, especially when they can get peanuts. They don't care. So we have to change that mindset. We have to keep working. And people like you who are conscientious and want to make that difference, you got to let the people know that we can't just depend on political parties. We all have to have some degree of responsible citizenship in us that we can go ahead and advocate for these kind of issues. So the other thing you talked about was the whole Meta Steel thing.
Yeah.
Many people, including Edith Gongo Ware and other people, were very clear. It made no sense to renew the ArcelorMittal deal until we had done a full study of what Mittal Steel had done up to that point. Unfortunately, our government is a lazy government, a non-caring government. No analysis was done, no study of what Mittal Steel had done already and how it aligned with what they claimed they were doing. So in the absence of anything comprehensive, assessing the performance of Mittal Steel, assessing the obligations to the people of Nimba and Bassa or whatever else they're operating, assessing the tax obligations and whether they have fulfilled them, analyzing the country plan, and seeing specifically what they are doing for the people compared with what they promised. If you can't do that, how do you know what to do? So now, after you have consummated a new, probably another 19, 20 years extension of the Mittal Steel deal, and we can always come back and discuss that, the kind of potential lost revenue, if they're giving those people the real. But they still have a significant control in that space. So what really is the final contract with Mittal Steel? That's something we need to still look at to see, because at the end of the day, it's the people. The power is in the people. It's just that the people don't recognize how much power they really have and how aggressive they can be to push a difference. So it's very important that people wake up. I mean, yeah, it's hard to do on empty stomach, but people have to wake up, because if you don't wake up, your stomach will stay empty. So it's better to fight on empty stomach than not to fight at all. So we can just try to sensitize people, try to make them aware of the issues and all of that, but at the end of the day, they have to step up. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so relative to the ArcelorMittal issue, people living in the concession area, particularly Nimbayans and people from Grand Bassa, Different groups gave their position statement in petition to the House. In the end, the deal was passed, and like you said, there was no due diligence done. But a few days ago, the Minister of Finance was on ERBC, and he said that the ArcelorMittal deal. I don't know what he was really saying, but I also saw it in the paper, and he said that the ArcelorMittal deal will help the issue of electricity in the country. And just to mention that the issue of electricity is a serious challenge. Right now, LEC and Current, I can say they have the most cheering squad. After like 1 week, or after 3 days, or 4 days, or 5 days of no current, as soon as current comes to a particular community, there is a huge cheering. The little children, the older ones, everybody will yell, "Yay, current has come!" And Liberia, as the oldest republic, we have this kind of problem, and the finance minister say the $800 million deal signed by the governor of Liberia and that of ArcelorMittal will help fix the legislative problem. How? It's something that we still look forward to see. But like I mentioned when I did the introduction of the training story in the news, the government said ArcelorMittal has defrauded $3 million in tax, and they are seeking to have that have ArcelorMittal paying that money. And also in the extractive industry, B Mountain in Cape Mount said they will soon be putting out, and they said for 2 reasons. One is that due to the January 2020 protest that was staged at their operational area,
Right.
According to them, some of their equipment got damaged and stuff like that. And then they also said that the governor of Liberia, through the Ministry of Mines and Energy, granted a Class B mining license to a Chinese company, and the company is operating in their concession area. So I don't know how that happens, because from what I know, before when the government issues a mining license, or whichever license, whether exploration, or mining license, to a person or to an entity, the government should be in a know that you have sold this claim to someone else. So obviously you can't sell that same claim to another person. So I still have not understood, but that was the reason they gave B Mountain gave, that they will soon be putting out of Grand Cape Mount, but now the issue of putting out because people are agitating to your operational area doesn't make much of a sense.
Well, are they destroying it though? Are they destroying the?
No, they said their decision to move is based on the protest that took place in January of this year. So now citizens, like you were saying, citizens will have to take certain responsibility. And I think in Cape Mount and other places where we have these very big concessionaires operating, that is one thing that the citizens have they have always done. In Cape Mount, the people said that the people are extracting gold from Cape Mount on a daily basis in huge quantity.
Very huge quantities, no question.
The lives of the people in Grand Cape Mount, Grand Cape Mount, the lives of the people are terrible. But yet still we have this company operating, taking our natural resources. As a matter of fact, Liberia is reaching gold. Gold is we term it in Epson as ubiquitous. Everywhere you go in the budgets in Liberia, you do your exploration, you will find some quantity of gold somewhere, somehow. In Cape Mount, we have a very huge deposit, because that end lies along a share zone. So in the end, there's a huge gold deposit there. No people take our gold to carry. The people who live in the area, they cannot receive any benefit. The people still walk long distances. Cars cannot access where they live. But you expect the people to be living under such condition, and then only you. All right, the little money you give to government, As a matter of fact, government has a responsibility to ensure that all of the things described in the Mineral Development Agreement between the government and that of the company, which include the issue of social corporate responsibility, it is government duty to ensure that these things happen for the people. Because if it doesn't, the people will rise up. Especially where the people see the company operating daily and they're extracting gold, the people seeing the amount of money being extracted from that place. Quite recently, I heard Representative Gray, because he's also from Cape Mount. He and some other lawmakers, they went there and decided that their normal political talk, that they will see to it that this happened and that happened and this happened. But in the end, there's no trickle down effect on the people who live there. They still live the same way. People still live in thatch houses, in mud houses. All right, these are things that
Mr. Cummings went there. He nearly cried.
Sure.
Then after that, we went to Wieswa, that used to be like the diamond capital of Liberia. The same negative situation is cool. Well, here's another situation, this whole LEC thing. And somebody wrote an article about how bad LEC is. And they call it a national disgrace. I know the other day there was a whole situation with LEC, going out, or the people losing generator when they're having a major ECOWAS or Mountain Rural Union meeting at what do you call the place name, at the ministerial complex. And,
oh yes, and that was a big disgrace.
Right, that was a disgrace. And this, I mean, sometimes it's so difficult because it's an overload of information to people to share all this kind of stuff, right? But this guy's article is very substantive, right? And I would just highlight some of the key points he makes. LEC, like he said, the sole only purpose for the existence of the Liberia Electricity Corporation is to provide electricity to the nation on a consistent and regular basis. Can anybody say LEC has ever done that? No. They have failed consistently. And what's the major problem? Power theft. There's ways to control power theft. There are ways to control power theft. Okay, they have reduced the tariff, which is great in terms of the review and stuff. But at the same time, there are other options to providing decent electricity that complements what LEC is doing. But we haven't done it. The seasonal thing, it has always been there. So why should it always be a problem? Why can't we solve this thing? That shows incompetence on whatever leadership at LEC, because once they come in, they know what the situation is. If they make that promise to have the solution and they can't do it, the government has to do something about it. Really, I mean, it's just embarrassing, it's disturbing. And for me personally, I was on the phone with my niece one night when it was totally dark, no electricity, and there was somebody out in the yard walking around. And she was in a closet, scared. I had to call people to go and try to see what was going on with her. And the person left, and they were able to do that. Look at this thing about load shedding. They only put up this information for load shedding because they say they had to comply with what the standards are. They have not been able to maintain that schedule. Not at all.
But Abba, I still don't get it. Why Liberia, as the oldest independent republic in Africa, will still be talking about load sharing? Where citizens have businesses, they should be running and they should depend on the electricity that the country provides. Then we still here talking about load sharing. For me, I still don't think that it's something that we should even get credence to.
Yeah, you shouldn't get credence to, but it is a critical problem. And that's what Mr. Cummings talks about. The fact that we have had bad leadership over the years that have not taken that responsibility to change the destiny, to change the lives of our people. Most successful Liberians, they basically do that struggle on their own. The success is not facilitated by government. And that's not supposed to be the case. government should be providing that opportunity for its people, you know. So look at this other situation here with LEC. We know LEC had gotten into a loan situation not too long ago. So let's assess the whole loan story. All right. And this is something that somebody sent to me. They say the top government officials are using a debt payment scam to loot millions through LEC and make the company unable to pay its employees and supply power to communities. And that one of the major cries at LEC right now, no money. So supposedly the government had owed LEC $9 million. They pay 8.1 million to LEC, right? Back in December, 2018. There's the link for it in terms of what happened. But they say the money was not paid. So LEC can distribute electricity. But they actually wire the funds back to top government officials. Instead of handling the issue and the problem, they complicated the problem further. Okay? So the group at LEC that managing, LEC, they call it ESBI International. They detected a scam and they said the road president, we are complaining that the deputy head of LEC was a rogue element and it will leave. Okay, that's another link. We'll discuss this more because this is serious. So they stopped the movement of funds through the bogus companies that they were using for these contracts, and many of them were owned by officials of government. Like one specific example there, the Azetta Jones,
Azetta Jones.
got a tax ID number, and it says she was the wife of the deputy head of LEC. I don't know the name, but we'll find that out. We'll get to the bottom of this story. And the president did not launch an investigation into the complaint. How can something this serious, you don't launch an investigation, but then you declare electricity or national security threat, and you authorize LEC to enter contracts outside of the PPCC regulations? That means you're telling the people they're stupid. They can go ahead and do the corrupt things, and nobody should say anything. And you remember, as bad as electricity is, in his State of the Nation address, the president praised LEC.
Oh yes, to the dismay of many Liberians.
Yes.
Would the president praise LEC when we are all seeing what's happening? We've seen the ineffectiveness of the entity.
So that's another area the opposition needs to call for an audit. The Liberian people who are suffering, who are paying them, look, people can get their meters, they can get their transformers. Instead, they don't get the electricity they want. So things really, really have to change. But part of it is the people. The people have to take a stand as well as the opposition community, because at the end of the day, just how opposition living, they are living, but they are living probably more miserably than some of the opposition people who may have, opportunities for some source of revenue. Okay. So this whole LEC thing,
like,
need to do a greater research to see the validity of this, to see what LEC is really owed by the government, the issue around the debt that government is paying, especially the domestic debt. I was doing a little analysis last night on national debt and trying to compare some numbers across the years. It's horrible, I'll just give people a little taste here on this whole national debt issue.
Yeah, so when it comes to this electricity stuff, there's always this question: how can LEC become more effective in terms of its service delivery? And many persons have suggested the issue of privatizing, distribution, because those of us who are from Nima, that's the reason why people always say we from Nima we got big mouth. When you enter Ganta, except wherein there is some expansion work going on somewhere, then people will realize power outage. But generally, when you go Ganta City, for example, you even go Sanikole or you go Segle PA, there is a consistent flow of electric power, and it is something that is uninterrupted. And the reason behind it, Ava, is because distribution is privatized. For example, in Ganta City, you have Jungle Water that is responsible for the issue of distribution. In the end, because of that, you can't even see power tap in Ganta. You can see power tap in Sanikole. And I'm not saying that people are not stealing current there, but it's at its minimum. But in Monrovia, LEC wants to be the generator. You generate the current, and at the same time distributor, and that's a very huge tax that has overwhelmed them. And those of them who are there who think that they are so much learned, they are not able to recognize it, either because somebody is benefiting from the fraud system.
But that's why Mr. Cummings keep talking about the system. The system is flawed. The system is messed up. There's no accountability in the system, and some people just do not care. Until we can change the system and establish real accountable systems, we got nowhere. But Sekou, somebody said, I just got to touch on the illicit mining is undermining the government's ability to collect taxes. But it's the same people in the government who are encouraging the illicit mining. They're giving you in the sector, you are a student of the sector. Don't you believe or know that the government officials are the one undermining that sector?
Guess what, Ava? The truth is, the Ministry of Mines and Energy, in the midst of all of the illicit mining going on, the Ministry of Mines and Energy, according to a report, was able to generate 30 million towards the national budget. Imagine if you have the right people in the right places doing the right thing at the right time. Right now, for example, that's why some of us who are graduates of the Department of Geology and Mining Engineering at the university, we have issues with the current minister. The current minister, the deputy minister of operation, and all the top assistant ministers, and you just name them. All of them are all schooled in the sector. You have graduates who are jobless, who are doing nothing, and you have the ability, you as a revenue generating entity, you're supposed to incorporate those young guys who are young ladies and gentlemen who are graduating from the background, and incorporate them. Even if the least job a geologist or a miner can do is to serve as an inspector for the ministry and help government generate local revenue. But it is not happening. In fact, as a revenue generating entity, they have the situation where they will take people and send people in the field, and the people are not on payroll. So in the end, you know what happens? What happens is that there will be corruption in the field when the man.
Question. I'm looking at a lucrative enterprise. You're not paying me, but you're sending me to be an inspector, and I got people to feed without remote places.
In remote places, and then you are not on payroll. So the question is, if a man is not on payroll and you send the man to remote places where we say real hard to reach the reach, how do you expect that man to survive? How do you expect him to take care of his family?
At some point, I will share a video where in Atia where the people mining gold, the Chinese people redirecting whole rivers because of the deposits. I guess the gold deposit or the diamond deposit will get there, and the people downstream who's supposed to drink that water, because we don't even, our government can provide good water and sanitation for the people. So they got to drink the water coming from the creek. And when the people muddy that water, that dirty rain water, the people drinking downstream.
No, yeah, and at times some of them are even using mercury to extract the gold. So once the mercury is infusing
it's polluting the water.
River, Even the species that are living in the water will not
They will
survive.
die. They will perish. They will perish.
So
You're right.
this is and we have inspectors in the field who are there as task force officers to stop the illicit miners. But when the man go and he sees the man is in the bush, he's not being paid. He's not on government payroll. All right, and his survivability depends on the same miners that you encounter in the field. If that man gets in the field and he sees that somebody is doing something illegal, the person is mining without a valid Class C mining license or even Class B mining license, all right, it is his responsibility to make sure that the person stops. For example, if a person went and even collected a Class C mining license and he went into the bush and he started using earth equipment, it is wrong. You can't get a Class C mining license and using earth equipment. Class C mining license is only restricted to digger and shovel. So if the man has a Class C mining license in his hand and he's using, a front end loader in the field, his equipment should be seized. But if you as an inspector, you go to the field, you see that kind of thing, and the man call you in the corner, money where you see here, the man give it to you, you know how happy. So it's a challenge, and I think the Ministry of Mines and Energy needs to do more. The minister, Mr. Murray, Prof. Murray, he's my former instructor. We expect a lot more. But these things are not happening. So there's an increase in the illicit mining. Government is losing much. The Ministry of Mines and Energy does not even have up to $3 million in the budget, up to $4 million in the budget. I learned it was $3 million, but now I think it's around 3.4 or 3.5 million. So imagine a revenue generating entity that contributes up to 35 million to the national budget. Then you give the man $3 million. So it's a whole complicated thing. The situation around this country is so complicated, and we just hope that we can have a leader in Mr. Cummings.
No, it's just corrupt. It's not complicated. It's just corrupt. And there's no accountability. There's no responsibility. Look at what Burma Passaway is saying. People's houses are getting burned as well because of power theft. If I got my stuff correct and you are stealing power, it can affect the the electricity flow. Yes.
Yeah.
And that up and down affects people. I have seen somebody hold like the refrigerator, the microwave, everything blow up simply because of the current fluctuation and the overload on the line from other people stealing current. So like he's saying, sometimes the wire will flare and burn, and that affects so much stuff. Even when that stuff happens, some people can have like nearly $1,000 worth of food in the refrigerator. It's wasted. Refrigerator and freezers, it's gone. So this thing is stuff that I know the opposition must stand up, the opposition must talk, but there are other people who are being affected that cannot just sit and be silent. But man, I got a couple of emergency meetings we got to go to. So, we usually supposed to be here for 1 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes about today. Is there any closing you can come up with, any closing statement that kind of wraps up the news?
Yeah, so basically I think this was the trending story, and we're hoping to have another time tomorrow. It's always good being on the show. For me, I actually see it as a privilege to sit along with Mr. Azeba Tuba. Mr. Azeba Tuba, and I know I've been following for a very long time how you have, mentored many young people, even those of them who are in the CDC can attest to it. So for me, I see it as an honor to be sitting with you on the show and to talk into.
It's my privilege to engage young people because you guys keep me vibrant, keep me up on my toes.
Yeah,
but
so,
I'm planning a late night show. I'm planning a late night show, and I hope other folks, other older guys can come on that. I want to be an old hair, young hair kind of show where we can talk about the dynamics. Or everybody talk about back in the day how things used to be. You guys have a perspective of today and how we can try to enlighten people a little bit more what people mean when they talk about those things and what they see going on now, how you guys see things, how we can move, and every issue will be open. So hopefully that show will come to the people very soon. But I gotta go because they're calling me now for this other meeting, and definitely will be in touch on these issues and be able to work and push our fellow Liberians as much as possible to make a difference for our people. Because for some of us, that's all we want. Can we just have a better Liberia? Can things just improve for all these people who are just suffering on a daily basis? So, Prince, thank you again. We'll work on the sound. We do 1 or 2 dry runs during the week, and then probably just sometimes now we'll touch on specific issues. This is a whole weekend wrap up. So sometime during the week we can get together and just go and touch on different topics. Okay.
All right, thank you, and thanks to all those viewing online. I can see
Definitely. Without the viewers,
Yes,
we are nothing because they will share the word. So thank you,
yes, yes.
and we look forward to
All right,
talking.
thank you. It was nice being on the show today. Next Friday
Definitely.
we'll meet.
All right. Bye.